So you want to start learning amigurumi. This is the video for you. I'm going to teach you how to make these mini amigurumi happy faces that look sort of like a gumball, and you'll learn all the stitches you'll need and tips to succeed along the way. Let's get started! To begin your first amigurumi project, you're going to need some wool. As you can see, there's different types of wool. I have a thicker wool or a thinner wool. For the sake of this project, I'm going to be using the thicker one. Usually I use a 4mm crochet hook, but today I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook because I'm using a slightly thicker wool. You'll also need a needle, a stitch marker or a paper clip will work fine, some stuffing or little scraps of yarn to make your creation 3D, and some scissors. Usually my favorite type of yarn to use is size 4. For this, I always use a 4mm crochet hook. It's important to note that if you use a thicker yarn, as I will be, or a bigger crochet hook, your creation will turn out slightly larger. First, we begin by creating a magic ring. So you're going to hold with the inside of your palm the yarn, wrap around your second and third finger, and create an X pattern. Now on the opposite side, I'm going to go underneath the first loop and over the second loop, pull through, and now slowly take my fingers out while holding with these fingers. Now, how I like to hold my yarn is wrap around twice with my second finger, just to guide it. Then I'm going to wrap the yarn around the hook, pull through. So when I'm pulling through, notice that the hook part is sort of holding onto the yarn. Pull through, and now we have our magic ring. The magic part is that if you pull, it tightens. Next, we're going to do 6 single crochets inside the ring. So you're going to be working around on top of both of these strings here. So first of all, you hold the ring with your thumb and maybe another finger, and you're going to stick your hook underneath both of those loops, grab the yarn, pull under, and now I have 2 loops on my hook. Next, you're going to wrap around and pull through. Notice how my crochet hook grabs the yarn here. Pull through both loops. That is 1 single crochet. I'm going to do 5 more. So go underneath both loops here, pull through, wrap around, and pull through both loops. Under, pull through, wrap around, and pull through both loops. Now I've done 6 single crochets. If you've lost count, you can check by adding up the V's, which is the top of each stitch. So I see 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you've done 6, you want to pull this string as tight as possible to close up this hole. And now there's no hole. For round 2, I'm going to go into my first V under both loops. The first one is usually the hardest to go under because it's the tightest. So just push, push, push. Now I'm under both V's. I'm going to begin this second round by increasing. So increasing means doing 2 single crochets in the same stitch. I'm going to pull through. Now I have 2 loops, wrap around, and pull through both loops. That's 1 single crochet. Since I'm beginning a new round, I'm going to use a stitch marker. I like using a paper clip. This will help us so we don't lose count. You're going to go under the first V that we just created, and now I'm ready to continue. So far I've done 1 single crochet, but we're going to increase, so that means going back into, you can see we've just gone through here. I'm going to go back into that same stitch and do another single crochet. So pull through, wrap around, and pull through both loops. In my next stitch, I'm going to do 1 single crochet. So pull through, and pull through both loops on my hook. I'm going to continue this pattern of increasing, so 2 single crochets in the same stitch, followed by 1 single crochet in the next stitch, until I get back to where I started. Once I reach my stitch marker, that's an indication I've done a full round. I've gone around twice. As you can see, I've got back to where I started, and now if you were to count your stitches, I've got 9. So you'll count the V's if you want to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's good to know how to count your stitches, just so you can make sure you have the right number. I'm going to take my stitch marker out, and for the next 2 rounds, I'm going to do single crochets all the way around. So that means 1 single crochet in each stitch. When you do your first one, you always want to put back your stitch marker because it's so easy to lose count, and then you have to take everything out. So continue this all the way around, going through both V's, wrap around, pull through both stitches, both loops. And I'm also holding this. Once you get to, say, this round and continue and it gets bigger, it actually is easier because with your left hand, you can hold onto your work instead of holding on to something super small. I also noticed that it's starting to curl in because our happy face is, after all, curved. So what you want to do is pop out, so sort of turn it inside out, pull this hole closed with this string if it's not fully closed, and this might make it a bit easier to work. So I'm going to continue going through my stitches, doing 1 single crochet in each stitch until I get back to my stitch marker. Again, I'm going to have a total of 9 single crochets. I'm going to, as I said before, do 2 rounds of single crochets, so I have 1 more to go. I'm going to take out my stitch marker and do it 1 more time around again. When you do your first stitch, add in your stitch marker. I've got back to my stitch marker, so that 4th round is done. For my 5th round, well, before I do this, I'm going to stick this tail where I started inside my little smile, just so it's out of the way. And now I'm going to begin this round by decreasing. So this is going to make it smaller, cinch it in so that it turns out to be a ball. To do that, you're going to go under. So as you can see, normally we were going under both parts of the V. When you're decreasing, you want to go under only the front part of the V. So as you can see, I'm going to go like this, only through the front half. And I'm going to do that for the first 2 stitches. Now I'm going to wrap around and pull through all 3 loops. So you can do them one at a time if that's easier. That is a decrease, because it combines 2 stitches into 1. Put your stitch marker in, and in the next stitch I'm going to do a regular single crochet, going through both loops. I'm going to continue this pattern of decreasing, followed by a single crochet, all the way around. So once again, to decrease, you go under only the front part of the V's of 2 stitches, then wrap around and pull through all 3 loops. In the next stitch, single crochet. I'm going to do this 1 more time, decrease and then a single crochet, and I'll be back to my stitch marker for a total of 6 single crochets. As you can see, it's starting to cinch in at the top. And to end off, I'm going to take my stitch marker out, put it to the side, I won't need that anymore. And I'm going to end with a slip stitch. So you're going to go into the entire stitch, so both parts of the V, wrap around, and pull through the one loop. Don't wrap around and pull through, just pull through. That is a slip stitch. Now I'm going to cut my yarn. You always want to cut a long enough piece. It's better to cut on the long side than the short side. Then I'm going to pull my hook out like this and pull tight. And before I continue, I want to add in some stuffing inside my little smile. If you don't have stuffing like from a pillow, then you can always just use a little piece of yarn. Since this is such a small project, to get it in, all you have to do is use the end of your crochet hook or the end of a pencil and stuff it in there. I remember when I first started amigurumi, I always put not enough stuffing in. So you want to make sure that it's enough that when you sew it closed, it'll maintain its shape. You want to add in little pieces at a time. And since this is such a small project, you won't need that much stuffing. That's good. That looks good to me. It's firm. If I push it, it doesn't just like squeeze closed. And now I'm ready to sew this hole closed. To do that, we're going to use our needle. So what you're going to do is, to get your yarn through this little tiny part of the needle, what you're going to do is wrap the yarn around the end of the needle, squeeze with your fingers, pull through, then you have a small opening, and you can push it through the hole, like that. And now I've got my needle and my yarn attached. And I'm going to pull tight here, so I'm going to now go under only the front part of each V. So this part is sort of with my slip stitch. So I sort of skip here, and I'm going to start right in here and only go into the only half of the V. Like that. Not both parts, just the front one. Now I'm going to pull through. I'm going to do this all the way around. 6 in total, because we have 6 stitches. Once you've gone under all 6 V's, the front half, what you're going to do is pull tight. Pull, pull, pull. And as you can see, now there's no hole. It looks a bit deformed, but don't worry about that. We'll fix that. To get rid of this tail, we're going to stick it into the hole that we just closed and poke out as far as possible. Pull, 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 and pull tight, like that. Then I want to try and get to the bottom, so I'm going to just stick right back into where I started, or where I poked out, and stick my hook or my needle all the way to the magic ring at the bottom. There we go. And now pull, 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 and you'll see that our happy face is starting to take shape. If it's sort of indented, you can always poke like this with your needle to pull something out. Like that. That looks good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn. So to do that, you're just going to pull tight, pull it out as you're cutting, and then cut like that. And then you won't see the end. Now we're going to add some eyes and a mouth to finish off our little smile. So grab a little piece of black and you're going to put it through your needle. So do this trick again. There we go. And I'm just going to have just a little bit on this side and most of it on the other side. And now what you're going to do is, this is going to be the bottom where you see this big hole. The small hole can be at the top. And I'm just going to look around. Maybe I want my eye here and here. So I'm just going to poke under like this. And notice how I'm going under like one small piece. Now I'm going to pull. Don't pull all the way through, but just leave a little tail like that. That's fine. And now I'm going to wrap around 3 times. So I'm going to go back into where I started and poke out like that again. Okay. That is 1 loop. And to make it more prominent, more circle, I'm going to do that again. Now we have 2 loops for our eye. And I'm going to do it 1/3 time. But this time I'm going to poke into where I started and poke out to where I want my second eye to be across. And make sure just this string where we started doesn't get in our way. Hold it back with your other fingers if you can. And 1 eye is done. Ignore that little string there, and we're going to do our second eye. So I think around this loop here is good. So again, you're going to do 3 loops. Whoops, if that does happen and your needle falls, and the yarn falls off your needle, that's okay, just re-loop it. Just put it back on, like that. And for my final loop, I'm going to poke through, and instead of poking back, I'm actually going to poke to where I want my smile to be. So I think I sort of want my smile to start near the eyes, maybe here. So pull through. Don't pull too tight, and I'm going to poke down here where you want the base of your smile to be, so sort of poke down and then back up, skip a section, and poke out where you want the other corner of your smile to be, or the other top of your smile, like so. Now I pulled a little too hard, so I'm just going to pull it out a little. That looks good to me. And now I'm going to connect the 2 parts of my smile by first of all going underneath this black loop. So it's a bit hard, like this. See how I've gone right underneath it? So I'm going to do that. Now to end off, I'm going to go right into this corner here through the green and poke out into a random spot in my smile. I'm going to go, let's see, way up here so that it won't undo. And pull, and now you can see it looks like a smile. And I'm ready to cut this black yarn. First I want to do this one, and then I'll cut them together. So the piece where you started, you're just going to poke directly down and out into a random spot in your smile. Like so. And now you're ready to cut your 2 pieces. So when you're cutting, pull tight and snip. Pull tight and snip. Shape it if you need to, if it's a little out of shape. And if you see any piece of the black, you just, with your needle, poke it inside. And if you ever want to pull a part out, like maybe pull this part out at the back, you just with your needle can do that. And your smile is complete. Thanks for watching! Now you know all the basic stitches you'll need to make more amigurumi projects. Check out my description box down below for more cute patterns. And like and subscribe for more videos like this.